Yes, sir. We are live now.
Okay. Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to the session on Agritech. Today, I have one of the stalwarts with me, Padma Shri Dr. Anil Rajvanshi, who is a scholar, a speaker, and of course, a Padma Shri. I'm delighted to welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'll give a short introduction of Dr. Rajvanshi, and then we can straightway get into the discussion. So this particular webinar is on technological challenges in agriculture. We are very honored to have Padma Shri Dr. Anil Rajvanshi as a distinguished speaker. Dr. Rajvanshi has been serving as a director of Nimbarkar Agriculture Research Institute in Fulton in Maharashtra for the past 4 decades, and he has been the forefront of agriculture innovation throughout his career. Dr. Rajvanshi is known for his work in sustainable farming and for using advanced sciences and technology to tackle problems in rural areas. He focuses on energy, water pollution, and income generation, taking a well-rounded approach to help rural communities becoming more self-sufficient. You should join us to learn more from Dr. Rajvanshi about the challenges in agriculture and the innovative solution that can make a positive impact. I know Dr. Rajvanshi for many years now. I've started interacting with them when I got to know that he did his BTech from IIT Kanpur, and he has been a regular speaker in IIT Kanpur. And I was so surprised to know, and in fact, I went to Baramati and I met him a couple of years back, and was surprised to know that he decided he was having a very lucrative career in US. And 40 years back, when every Indian was thinking that we have to go to US to build up the career, Dr. Rajvanshi took the plane back. He said, "No, I cannot live in this country. I have to go back." And he belongs to North India, but despite of that, he decided to stay back in Fulton in Maharashtra and build his research facility, which is short form is NARI, and focuses on sustainable agriculture. And because of his distinguished work and the dedicated effort what he have done, the government of India has accorded him the Padma Shri 2 years back. So we are very delighted and honored to have you, sir. And I'm sure your interaction with our startups and to be entrepreneurs will be quite valuable. Welcome again.
Thank you very much, Nikhil. It's so kind of you to give this type of introduction. I must really thank him and Sudha Selraj for inviting me to this webinar. Such invitations, I'm quite an old person now. Such invitations help in jiggling the neurons, which otherwise at this age tend to putrefy. I'm neither an expert in startups nor in agritech, and though Nikhil very kindly said so, and so do not know why Nikhil invited me. Yet I will share with you what little I know, and I hope that it might inspire some of you to help improve the lives of farmers and rural population. And I will keep this talk short, so more time is available for question and answers because it helps in clarifying the doubts. And without any ado, I will try to share the screen. So my talk is some technological challenges in agriculture. As Nikhil said, I run a small institute called Nimkar Agriculture Research Institute with my wife. In fact, her father started this Agriculture Research Institute way back in 1968. And when we both came back from the United States in 1981, since then we have been working in this institute. Whatever we do is on our website, as you can see in this narifulton.org. It's a very intensive, extensive website, and I hope some of you can go through it and find out what we do. So, agritech startups are meant to help improve the lives of farmers and rural population. We require both technological and management solutions. Just technical solutions are a small part. The most important thing are the management solutions, and also uh, how do you market those whatever commodity you have produced. The challenges in the Indian agriculture are huge, since 55 to 60% of India's population is associated with agriculture in some way or the other. We all need food for survival. This is something which all of you should understand. We will not eat nuts or bolts or software. We'll eat food. And with our continuous increase of population, this is one of the biggest challenge, because the survival of mankind and survival of us as a country depends upon having adequate food for all of us. And this is where I think some of you should focus on: how do you provide uh, technologies and systems to improve the quality of life of the farmers, and also for increasing the productivity of the land. I will therefore touch on few aspects about which I have some knowledge. In fact, in the last 40-45 years, we have done a lot of work with a part of the farming associated with the farming activity, but I will not go through all of them. I'll touch on some of the very some basic things, and I expect some of you entrepreneurs to go a little deeper into it and find out, and also we can have discussion during the question and answers. So what are the challenges? The biggest challenge is that Indian agriculture is still in stone ages. Most of our farming is rain-fed. 70% of India's farming is rain-fed. Most of the people still follow the age-old farming practices, and this results in a very low productivity of the land. We have some of the lowest productivity in the world. Our acreage is per acre, our yields are very low, and there is a need for doing very high-tech farming and trying to improve the quality of farming and the yields. The use of machinery is increasing, as some of you who have been into the farms may have seen a lot of tractors, a lot of other devices for sowing, harvesting, etc. But still, these ideas are imported from the West, which means that big machines and big farms. Our farms are very small, and so we need to develop small machines. And this, to me, is one of the biggest challenges for agri-tech companies, is how do you develop small farm machines? And for that, most of you entrepreneurs need to actually go into the farm, study it, stay there, find out what are the problems, and then you apply your mind and your technology in producing better machines. Average Indian farm is around 2 to 3 acres. We need very high-tech machines for it. Biggest challenge for engineers and startups. We need best engineers and technicians in farming sector. In fact, this is the biggest lacuna in India, that anybody who is worth anything, they either go into engineering or to become a doctor or a lawyer or MBA, but nobody goes into agriculture and farming. And unless until we send some of the brightest students to farming, or even if they go to the best engineering schools, if they come back to agriculture area and apply their knowledge, then the Indian farming will improve drastically. Non-availability of labor and water at the correct time reduces the productivity. You see, it is when most people who do not know anything about farming, they talk all about high-tech things. But it is like for a very poor, hungry person, you talk of giving him pills for this ailment or that ailment. What he needs is simply food. If he or she gets good food, all the ailments go away. The same thing happens with farm. The biggest input to the farm is water and labor at the right time. If you give these two basic things, then most of the productivity will increase. We'll have a huge amount of output, And most of these things are not available at the right time, because farming is very critical, because it depends upon the temperature, the environmental conditions, the seasons, and etc. And unless until we have these things, the farming will not improve drastically. So water and labor gives a quantum jump in the production. And then when you reach a certain level, then other things start happening. You can give better varieties, better breeds, all sort of things. But the basic thing is water and correct time for sowing and other things. Indian farm productivity, as I said, is one of the lowest in the world. And yet, because of the population, there's a huge farming potential. Today, India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. This may surprise to some of you, though our productivity is small, but very little of it is processed. In fact, all of you who live in urban areas, you go to the supermarket, you buy the processed food, you buy all sort of things which comes in nice packages, but that nice packages is what is called as processing. India is still one of the countries which has the lowest processing percentage. Uh, America, China, Europe, all these countries do a lot of processing. And by processing of the basic food, you give a lot of money to the farmers. And that is where I think a lot of agri-tech companies should come. How do you set up processing units in rural areas where you take the raw material from the farmers at a very good price, process it, and then sell it? And so there is a tremendous technological challenges on food processing. I'll not go into details, but I'm just giving you some ideas on what are the possibilities. Now, I will give you something which we have been working since 1980s. You know, today is the time of millet. Our Prime Minister has given a very big call for millets, rightly so, because millets means jawar, bajra, ragi, and so many all these small grains, except the wheat and rice. And these things are extremely useful for the stomach, for the health. And we have been working on sweet sorghum. Sorghum is also part of millet since 1980s. Sweet sorghum, or basically it is jawar, and in sweet sorghum is god jawar, which means sweet jawar. This was introduced by us in India in late 1960s. My father-in-law in 1960s, late 1960s, went to United States, purchased or got seed from some organizations, which was, because America used to produce a huge amount of sweet sorghum syrup in late 1920s and 30s. And so he got the seed from there. And then our scientists in our institute bred with a local Maldandi variety. Maldandi is a grain sorghum, which gives very beautiful, very nice grain, pearly white grain, from which you make bhakri or the bread. And we bred with this local Maldandi variety, and we produce quite a number of hybrids and varieties called Madhura. Now, when I came back to the United States, Fulton was very, it is still a rural town, but at that time it was just like an overgrown village. Sometimes to make a long distance phone call, I would hop on the bus, go to Pune, which was a 4-hour journey, and make phone calls. That was Fulton. But and so there was very little electricity. And at night I would study, coming back from America after staying there for 7 years, going from IIT Kanpur. This was a very great detoxification of me and how I was introduced to rural India. So that was a great exercise itself. So at night I used to study in these lanterns, which were developed in 1870s or 1880s, and they were all running on kerosene. And I said to myself, we were importing kerosene at the time from Russia, and I said to myself, can we produce our own fuel which can run this lantern? And so we started working on ethanol. And I'm very proud to say that we were the first people in the world to talk about ethanol as a cooking and lighting fuel for rural households. And we developed a lot of cooking devices, stoves, lanterns, etc. But that's a different story altogether. So we pioneered the development of ethanol production using solar energy from sweet sorghum. And I show you, this is the plant. Probably this was the first pilot plant set up in the world. This was in 1985, which was running completely on solar energy. It was used to produce around 50 liters per day from the sweet sorghum. Now, sweet sorghum is a very tall crop. It has grain from the ear head. The stem is as sweet as sugar cane. Our breeding has resulted in that. And after you crush the stem, then what is left is bagasse, is an excellent fodder for animals. So from the same piece of land, you get food, fuel, and fodder. And this is the remarkable thing about sweet sorghum. And we are very proud that we pioneered this crop, not only in India, but all over the world. And at one time, one of the world's largest program on sweet sorghum was at our institute. And we were a member of the Europe Economic Commission in the early 1990s. Now, this sweet sorghum, we started with ethanol. Today, again, the whole world, including India, is working on producing ethanol from sweet sorghum and other millets. And I would like to tell you that millets are very good for human consumption. And we should continue using the land for our food and not for the fuel. Because this fuel, which is ethanol, is going in this very stupid thing called automobile, which is a 2% efficient vehicle. And we should be looking at alternatives like electric cars and electric mobility. We've done a lot of work. In fact, I am very proud to say that all this e-rickshaws came from our institute in early 1990s. And you can read all that in the internet. So when we looked at the whole thing properly, we said instead of going for ethanol, we should go for syrup. This is what I show you. Syrup, which is almost like a honey. We are selling it to pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and food industry. They are using it in place of honey and other things. And it's excellent because we don't add a single chemical. And this is what I feel can also be a good startup for people, because it takes the raw material from the farmers, it removes the water, and we have a full, almost mechanized sweet sorghum syrup plant, which produces 50 to 60 kilogram of this excellent syrup in 8-hour batch. And this syrup is sold at a very high price. For example, it is sold at 500 rupees per kilogram, whereas the biomass cost is only 1 to 2 rupees per kilogram. So this is what I want to tell you, is that farmers can benefit tremendously if we take the material from them directly and process it. Because this syrup price can also be given back to part of it to the farmers. So their cost will also, their cost of production, they will get more remuneration. At the same time, the companies will also make more money. So good income for the farmers and for the companies. Syrup plant is an example of food processing, water removal as the first step. In fact, I believe that you see, all the agriculture, most of the agriculture, the product, if we don't talk about the grain, but the rest of the agriculture is around 85 to 195% water. So when you transport it from the rural areas to urban areas, you are simply transporting water. If you can reduce that water content by the evaporation, and we have developed a very efficient furnace, which uses all different biomass residues. It's a loose biomass residue furnace, small scale, and you can evaporate the water and condense. So it could be either from tomato or from the sweet sorghum or from anything. You can create pulp or reduce the syrup, and then can be transported to a company, a centralized company, which can do due diligence in the quality improvement and maintaining the quality. And so these are the things which can be very good startup type of thing. So another agri-tech challenge is in developing sweet sorghum harvester. Today we harvest this sweet sorghum by hand. So with a sickle, somebody cuts the bottom. Then the grain is removed because the grain is very good for your bread. And then the stem, these leaves which are still green, they have to be removed because if the leaves go into the crushing of stem, then it gives a very off color, off taste for the syrup. So all these things require mechanization, and this mechanization is something that the agri-tech companies can think of. And once you have developed a small scale harvester, it can have a lot of value in other crops also. So these are the things which are great challenges for the agri-tech companies, and I'm just giving you what can be done. We, this all the URLs, you can read everything about what we did in our sorghum, what we did in syrup, how it has been produced, and you'll get an idea on the type of work that we have done in the last so many years. Now, the similar type of thing is happening in sugarcane. Western Maharashtra, where I live, Paltan is in the Western Maharashtra region. It is a huge sugarcane belt of India. In fact, at one time, we were the largest sugar producing state in the country. Now, I think UP has taken over. And huge sugarcane acreage is planted. And because of the Government of India policy of conversion of producing of ethanol, now more and more sugarcane is coming under plantation. And most of the companies, sugar factories, are going to produce ethanol. I consider this as a very stupid thing because ethanol is a very good chemical. Ethanol molecule is very energy intensive molecule. Solar energy conversion from solar energy into ethanol is 0.0001% efficiency. So it is a huge amount of reduction in the amount of solar energy which goes into the production of ethanol, which means that it is a very high intensive molecule. And this molecule should be utilized for human systems. And to my mind, it's an excellent molecule for chemical industry, for pharmaceuticals, for so many things, plastics, everything. Putting this in cars, and the funny thing is that Government of India talks about 15%, 20% putting in the petrol, and this has not put any dent in the pollution or anything. So companies are making good money, and it's such a waste of a good molecule. So in fact, I tell a lot of people who want to set up plants, I said, please, if you want to set up a plant for producing ethanol from sugarcane or anything else, you should go for as a chemical plant. But that is a government policy. But what I'm trying to tell you is that sugarcane harvesting and sugarcane growing is going to increase tremendously, and we need agri-tech companies for producing better harvesters. In fact, when I came back from United States in 1980s, I saw the whole Maharashtra burning at night during the winter, and I said, what a waste of energy, because after sugarcane is harvested, the leaves are simply because leaves are shredded by the harvesters, and it is on the ground they burn it because it's a waste disposal problem. So it produces huge amount of pollution, and also at the same time it's a waste of energy. And in fact, this pollution is what is screwing our air in the cities. Delhi and other cities in the north are a classical example of the stubble burning and the agricultural residues burning. So we were the first people in the world to set up the sugarcane leaves gasifier. And this is the gasifier, is a 0.5 megawatt thermal unit. And the whole idea was to utilize the sugarcane leaves without briquetting, just loose sugarcane leaves, and to produce heat through the burning process for agriculture food processing. Now, we have a tremendous problem of getting the sugarcane harvested in timely fashion. And I do not know how many of you know agriculture, or have you seen? We are now importing, or some companies are producing these machines. It's a huge, humongous machines. This is almost 200 horsepower machine, again, totally copied from the European, American, and Latin American machines. And they are used in 1 to 2 acre farms. So it's a very, very difficult process. It uh, chops the sugar cane into small pieces. In chopping this, it loses sugar and the juice. What we need is small machines for small farms. And this is a great challenge for all of you who are want to do something in agri-tech. And more than that, these, in the old times, all the sugar factories used to employ these sugarcane cutters. They used to be sent to different farms where the sugarcane was ready. Small farms, the sugarcane cutters would cut the farm, tie it up, and load it in the bullock carts, and that's how it came to the factories. Now, because of these people want it done very fast, they are importing these machines or they are getting these big machines, and it's a disaster. And I feel that small scale sugarcane harvesters will be a very good thing. And more than that, we still need technology in man-machine interface. I still believe that we need sugarcane cutters for the small farms. It's just that we need to improve the quality of life of these sugarcane cutters, and that is what I want to stress. That if you come and stay in the farms and look at the quality of life of some of these laborers, then you realize that how they live, how they work, and with your agri-tech, you should be able to improve the. And so what we need are some mechanism. Today I'll give you some, the scenario. These, first of all, these sugarcane cutters are reducing in numbers now because very few of them want this hard work. Secondly, their whole life is wretched. They carry with them their woman and their children. Children have no place for education, and they go from one farm to another. Yet there are large number of labor force which comes from all over the country. They come for 6, 7 months. Their children and their wives are staying in their areas from where they come, and they get their education. So the same thing we need here. What we need is a good way by which these sugarcane cutters should be housed. Their food is provided. They are given good money, and so that they can send it to their children and their wives who are back at home. And this is what we require. And I think a truck container living would be one such agri-tech process. Because when you see these sugarcane cutters, their quality of life, their is very painful to see how they live and how their children get spoiled because they don't have any education or anything. So this is something that agri-tech companies should do. So we need machines also for tying up sugarcane and loading. Right now, they are tied by the simple hand. So what we need to do is that the sugarcane cutters, they will cut the grain, and the rest of the things will be done by the machines, which will load also into the trolleys, because then the whole cane can go in the trolleys and can go to the sugar factory. So this is something which I thought will be a very great contribution for your agri-tech companies. Startup for providing sugarcane cutter service. This can also be a very good thing because, in fact, I personally feel that some of the biggest contribution of your agri-tech companies can come in trying to tie most of the things that are happening today into a good management service. And I'll talk about it later on, so that the timely availability of the workforce, timely availability of the machines, timely availability of the different things are available for the farmer. So he does not have to depend upon labor or anything else. And that can improve the productivity of the farm and the remuneration of the farmers. There are other examples of agri-tech startups. Every aspect of farming can lead to startups. And there are a few examples I'll show. Let me put this on this side. Weeding machines for small farms. One of the biggest money that we spend is in weeding. See, after the crop grows, then it also comes the weeds. Weeds are those crops or those green material which we do not want, because our produce comes only in the crop that we want. So what the rest is all weed. And so today, all over the world, they spread weedicide, but weedicides are not good for human health and also for the soil. So there are two things one can do. One is to have a no-till farming, which means that you don't till the land so that you don't erode it. You just simply keep on, and there are tillers available. You simply just after harvesting, you put a new seed, and then slowly the seeds and other things take care of. You do require some weedicide, but those weedicides can come from the organic weedicide, and such activities are happening. But more than that, what we need is a small weed removal system, which is AI powered, to identify the weed and manually remove it. And this is one simple example of some R&D activity taking place, where this weed remover zaps the weed with a laser. But you don't need to do that. You can also have weed removers, which is mechanically remove it. So this is a huge opportunity for very high-tech agri-tech companies to work in this, do an R&D, interact with the agriculture personnel, and develop it. And once you develop it, and the beauty of all these things is we have small farms, so we require small machines. We don't require huge, humongous machines. And small machines can be built in small workshops and in small startup companies. And that is something which you agri-tech companies should think about, that this is a great opportunity and challenge for you in agriculture area. Then, as drones are now being utilized a lot in the farming, mostly for spraying. And but I believe that the most important thing for drones is to identification of disease and estimating plant population. Because a lot of times when you plant, you have different densities in different parts of your field. And if you know beforehand how the plant population is, you can go and plant more, so your population becomes uniform and you get higher yield of the crop. And this, the drone seeing from the top, can do it very nicely. And the same thing with the identification of the disease. The moment the disease can be identified, then you can take corrective action. And both these things can help in improving the yield output. Now, this means that the drones have to have a fantastic amount of ability to detect the disease and other parameters, which means there's a lot of interaction of the drones with the ground. So you have to do a lot of experimentation on different crops, different densities, different disease. And this is something which is missing. People are developing drones, people are talking all sort of things, but it's the hardware which needs to be really calibrated on the ground, and which is not taking place, because this is hard work. You have to stay in the farm, and I think it will be a great thing for you to come and stay in the farm. And I will give you my institute's facilities to do that. I have talked with Nikhil about it. We can look at the possibilities that some of these agri-tech companies can utilize our farm facilities and test and validate their inventions. We also need low cost and reliable soil testing devices. I show IIT Kanpur developed soil tester. We have one such tester in our institute. This is still not very good, because again, the ground calibration was not done properly. And so it shows different things, out of 8-9 parameters, some 4-5 critical parameters are off the mark. It's not that the device is not good. What is needed is more calibration on the ground. And this is what I have to stress to all the agri-tech companies who want to do that the ground calibration is the most important thing in developing and improving these devices. All the above need very in-depth and detailed calibrations with the ground realities, and large-scale data collection for different environmental and soil conditions are necessary. Only when you have the data, then you can start the AI. AI is not something in the air. AI only can work when you have good, reliable data coming from the ground. So I need to stress again and again that the ground data is very important. Now, as I told you, the most important thing for any farming is water. Today, we get water through the canals. 70% of the agriculture in the country is rain-fed. 70% of the total water usage in the country is for agriculture. Agriculture is the largest user of water, and so we need the water. Fortunately, India gets enough rain, which is almost 4 times more than our usage or our so-called usage. And yet most of the water simply runs down, erodes the soil, goes to the ocean, it creates floods. What we need is a good rainwater harvesting system, and especially in rural areas for the farming. And so this is a concept which I have developed, in which I talk about Taluka. Taluka, because I live in Taluka, I have been working on a lot of things about Taluka, because Taluka is a entity which is a manageable entity, administrative-wise and otherwise. And in fact, I'm very proud to say that the National Biomass Policy of India came from our work in early 1990s on Taluka energy self-sufficiency. In fact, we did a complete analysis of the agriculture residues, what is biomass availability, and based upon that, we developed that policy. And MNRE then used that our work, and the whole biomass mapping of the country was done based upon our study. So we felt that the biomass availability for power was one thing, but what is most important is how do we create systems by which water is available. So we feel that we can have a lot of ponds. These ponds, and these things will eventually will have to be thought about, who owns this water, the energy requirement, and other things. But these ponds will can be set up, and each pond will be like a battery inverter system. So think about it. Large number, when the electricity goes away, you don't have any problem because you have a battery inverter system. It switches off on. Same thing, we need to save water in these ponds. There is already the rivers or the canal which is flowing, but that is flowing. And once the river or canal stops, when there is no rain, then you don't have any water. We need to have a storage system, and these small storage systems can totally revolutionize Indian agriculture. And I think there's a great need for the agri-tech companies to think about this and how AI can be utilized in finding out how many ponds we need so that the whole year's supply can be formed depending upon the topology of the area, the rainfall, and so many things. Also, the soil that will be excavated for producing these ponds can be used in agriculture and construction industry. Today, there's a huge amount of construction industry going on, and to make bricks and so many other things, you require soil. And this soil can be utilized for that. And also for agriculture, because a good soil spread on barren land can improve the agriculture. The issues of pond ownership and energy resources for water pumping will have to be thought of and looked at. Today, again, we don't have good water laws that still is a Government of India property, but I'm sure that more and more things, just like the corporate farming, etc., is coming. So the ownership of the water bodies will also come. We need to set up one unit to do experiment to find out how it will perform, what are the problems, and how do we solve it. But this is something which I think the agri-tech companies should think about. And ultimately, I come to the management systems. And this is my dream for the farmer. The farmer today is in so much stress because day-to-day activities does not leave him anything else, time for anything else. A farmer should really be a breeder because he has been with that crop or crops for a very long time. He knows what is good and what is bad. And so he should be with his, which is called as a breeder eye. He should be able to see which is a better crop and he can then use his technique. You don't need a very great breeder training. It's the eye which can do a lot of breeding. And I feel the drones, the autonomous machines for weeding, for harvesting, for plowing, for growing crops can all be a part of the small farm, and where the farmer simply picks up the phone and tells his company to please do the needful. And so we need startups, and that is a great challenge for the agri-tech companies who can supply to farmers efficient farming machines and systems on demand. This is the most critical thing. If we can do that, then the whole farming will be revolutionized. We don't need very fancy systems. We just need companies which can provide the farmer with all the basic things and better machines at the right time, and whenever the crop is ready or the crop has to be sowed, etc. There is other thing what needs to be done for the agri-tech companies is how whatever farmer produces, how you can sell it. And the farmer producer cooperatives as a startups can be a very fantastic thing. There are excellent examples in Maharashtra, Nasik and other places where they have grown very big. They started with just taking up the crops and selling it. Then they started packaging it, setting up machines. All these things can happen. And this is something which the startups and in the agri-tech industry can really think of. You don't need to have a very huge company. You can have small companies with good quality control, and you can sell these things. There's a need for good tie-up of excellent produce and markets. And the most important thing is the cold chain. Because if you have the cold chain, then the produce which gets rotten in the rural areas can be preserved for more days and can be processed and sold. So the future of farming will be always be high tech. And that's why I feel very, very happy that some of you agri-tech company entrepreneurs want to get into it. But please think in terms of hardware. Don't think in terms of software only. Software is necessary, but it should be a icing on the cake, not the main part. The main part should be high-tech agriculture. I wrote about precision agriculture when nobody is talking about in 2013. It got a lot of traction. I'm sure that a large number of people copied the article and spread it as their own. But this is something which has come up. In fact, I wrote another article on this, that how the fourth industrial revolution in rural areas in India can happen because of this. And I got a very nice letter from Schwab, who started the World Economic Forum. He says this is the best article he has read about the fourth industrial revolution for rural areas. So this is something which I think will be very useful. And thank you very much. And thank you very much, Nikhil, for giving me this opportunity. And I'll be delighted to have questions on my talk.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajvanshi. I am sure there are questions. So anybody can narrate these questions?
So I stopped the share, and these are some of my URLs. You can anyway, this is all recorded, so you can see later on. I hope this was all right.
So there is any way that the participants can ask the questions? Deepak?
No, sir. Only panelists can speak. Right now, we have one question from the attendees.
Yeah, I would urge the participants to, there is a method of asking questions. They can write the questions and then we can read, Deepak can read out this question and ask Dr. Rajvanshi.
Okay, sir. Meanwhile, we have a question. I'm reading out. Sir, what is the infrastructure, machine cost or SS syrup plant?
The cost is around 15 to 20 lakh maximum, and basically it's the furnace, the new system of feeding the biomass to the furnace that we have developed, and the crushing for the sweet sorghum. So these are the, in any such plant there are so many, as I showed in my diagram, there are different things, and they are part of the plant. The most important thing is the growing of sweet sorghum. If you can grow sweet sorghum, then this can, and the see, because of our work, because you are the first people in India who were selling the syrup, because of our work, slowly the syrup is picking up. What is required for agri-tech companies is also to look at how to enhance the market, because wherever they are using honey and other things, this can be used very nicely. Okay,
So there is
next
another
question.
question. One of our attendees, Chandrasekhar, he has said that the session was wonderful, and he was asking about our PPT, that the PPT you have shown, can it be downloaded or can it be saved as a document form?
Yeah, so I gave the URL of all the work that we have done. Everything is available on the net. You can go to our website and you can download whatever you want.
Now we have another question. Good evening, sir. Thank you for insights. Sir, my question is in regards with dairy sector. What's your thought on decentralization, milk pasteurization, and its impact on a small holding dairy farmers?
You see, the whole dairy industry started with small scale. It was a decentralized, and still it is decentralized because the milk collection is a decentralized process. Then it goes to the milk chilling plant and milk processing plant, which are becoming huge. And naturally, as you know, that Amul is now the number one company in the whole of country. So you can have a small scale unit. You need to find out, first of all, you see the quality of milk is the most critical. And you will be surprised that 30% of the milk is not milk at all. It is only chemical. So this is a very strange and a sad thing. So if you can somehow have very good quality of milk, which you can supply and tell the people that you are supplying in a small scale, it will sell like hotcakes. You don't have to become a very big unit at all. And I hope that in the future, these small scale units with high-tech industry, high-tech machinery will supply excellent milk, which is very good quality. So that is a very important thing. And if you can do it, that will be wonderful.
Okay, we have the other question. Abhishek Verma is asking, is there a framework in place by Government of India for regulating devices related to cattle farming industry?
I don't know because we don't work in cattle. So you will have to go to the website of the Government of India and see what the framework is. And I'm sure that there something will be available on the net.
Okay, sir, there is a general question. How can we differentiate between innovation and research?
Why do you want to do that? The main thing should be to solve the problem of farmers and farming. Whether it comes by research or by innovation does not matter. As I keep on saying that whether the cat is black or white, as long as it eats the mice, what does it matter to us? So don't get into these things. Help the farmers. Set up good units to help the farmers.
Okay, we have other question. What should be process or way to real pilot stage trial for any hardware agriculture machine? Should we direct give to farmer or any agriculture institute for testing? Which one will be more cost effective and beneficial?
So the first thing is you develop a machine, develop something. once you develop something, then you see the farmers of this country or any other country, they are very smart people because they are hardworking, they know what is good, and they want to improve the quality of the land and for themselves. So anything that they see which helps them, they take it up immediately. For example, in Maharashtra, the drip came in 1970s and late 80s, and immediately the farmers took it up. At the time, and most of these farmers are illiterate, but they saw that how drip could help them reduce the water consumption and also increase the quality of their crop or their pomegranate or trees or whatever it is. So they are very smart. If a technology is good, they'll take it up immediately.
Okay. A large percentage of agriculture land in the country is rain-fed. How can affordable technological innovations transform land and water productivity in such moisture stress-prone regions? What low-cost precision solutions have you employed at NARI?
So as I told you that I showed you this unit where this in Taluka you can have these ponds. Today, a lot of farmers produce this farm ponds. The evaporation is high. Then see that everything has to depend upon the cost. And what happens is that the people are having their own ponds. They use it for their water, but what is required is a combined effort on a taluka basis. So it has to be both the government, private people, and the even corporates. So when I talk about agri-tech, I am not only talking about small agri-tech, but I am also talking about the agri-tech from the big companies. Because if I am a big company and I want, oh, what happened? What do I do?
No, nothing is
Okay,
fine. You can
okay,
continue.
okay. What I do is I need more productivity from the same piece of land. So I will provide you with water, which means that we need to develop these innovative systems that I talked about. One of the things that we did very interestingly, I did not show it, but it is available in our website, and we pioneered this. We dug up holes in the absolutely barren land, and we covered with the solar still. And the soil has moisture, but it does not come out. So by solar energy, the moisture came out, and these small pits, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter depth, they produced around half a liter of water every day. And we fed this water to the seedlings, and the seedlings survived. So we had trees which survived. They did not grow very big, but they survived. So in very harsh conditions, you could do that. We gave this technology to the NDDB or Anand or in 1990. Korean had invited me, and they used this for their salt producer, for salt producers, where the water was very saline and the table was high, and they used this technology for producing fresh water. So you can do a lot of the innovative thinking. Okay, next question.
So there is another question from the attendee. Can you put light on trends of use of biochar and its market for soil enrichment? Can you describe process need around sugarcane heating using a small machine?
No, the question is biochar.
Sir, there is two questions from the attendee. The first one is about the biochar and its market for soil enrichment.
Okay, now see char. First of all, I do not know how many of your attendees are agriculturists or know about farming. Today, lot of these sugarcane farmers and others, they burn. One of the reasons they say that when you burn, then you produce char. Char helps in increasing the carbon of the soil. Carbon is very necessary for the soil improvement, and it also kills a lot of unnecessary organisms which are not very good. So char is very good. Now burning is not a very good thing because it pollutes and it also energy is consumed. The whole thing is wasted. What is required is that that is why our gasifier not only was taking the sugarcane leaves and making into a nice producer gas. But 25% of the sugarcane leaves were also converted into very high quality char. And we did some experiments of spreading this char in the fields, and we didn't do a very great study, but the world over they have shown that if you have the char spread on the soil, then slowly the soil improves. So biochar has a great use in agriculture. And what was the second question?
Can you describe process needed around sugarcane heating using a small machine?
Sugarcane heating.
Yes, sir. Process
Sugarcane
needed around sugarcane heating using a small machine.
Sugarcane heating? Why do you want to heat the sugarcane? Okay, and the next one, because this does not make sense.
I think let's take one more question. I think the time is also getting up. So,
Okay.
is there any more question,
Okay.
Deepak?
Yes, I am narrating the last question. Good evening, sir. My question is the uses of chemicals to contain the freshness of fruit and vegetable impact the nutrients and health of the consumers.
But see, this is a very open-ended question. You have to really find out what chemicals you want to add, because there's a huge amount of research going all over the world. People are using a lot of chemicals, but the long-term effect on the human body is not yet understood. Some of them are creating a lot of problems. So these things will continue for a long time. What we need is, how do we do farming which is not harmful for the human body and also not harmful for the soil, because soil is what produces the produce, agriculture. And if we can improve the soil, at the same time we have things by which it does not harm the consumption, it does not harm the human body, then you have a win-win situation. And this is what agri-tech companies should be looking at. Any other
Over to
question?
you, Nikhil, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, Deepak.
sir, we don't have time, but we have different questions from our attendees.
So I think what
but
we
we
can
can
do is we can send out these questions to Dr. Rajvanshi on email, and perhaps whenever he has time, he can respond to them and send the answers to us, or he can upload it on his website. Probably this could become one of the ways of interacting that the people will also go. So I think so. Thanks a lot, all the participants, for asking a wonderful question and keeping the engagement on. And I don't have much words to say about Dr. Rajvanshi's session. I think जैसे समुद्र मंथन हुआ था, तो after a lot of churning, only few drops of wisdom was able to come out, but still the samudra is still there. There is a lot of wisdom remains. So after 1 hour, only few drops of wisdom has come out from this session. So many thanks, Dr. Rajvanshi, for coming us and enlightening us about the various aspects of agriculture, challenges, opportunities which exist. I agree that there is a iota of activity we have done till now. There is a huge thing that we can do. A lot of people have this misconception about technology, which you aptly put out with your ethanol example, that there is a various and more interesting and useful ways which are doing. And sometimes I agree that government may be right or government may be wrong, but that's the role of the scientific community to provide the proper guidance and the pathway for the right usage of technology. So thanks again for coming and enlightening our participants. I am sure that the participants find it quite useful. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Dr. Rajvanshi is fairly active on emails and all. So you can go to his website, read the articles what he has shared. A lot of material is already there. He's invited continuously on the various forums. So he keeps on posting his lectures and articles. So take the benefit from them. And I'm sure still you have any questions, you can always send him an email. I'm sure he's delighted to answer it. So thanks again, once again, and look forward to your applications for the Social Innovation Lab. Thank you, everyone.